Good morning everybody, this is me at the Science of Wellness and we are going to have a little special edition on water filtration. For those of you that have met me in primary school, because I've been in senior with the Sublime Science, remember that we spoke about how, you know, when people are trying to sell you things, people are trying to do things, that you have the right to kind of say, hey dudes, show me the science. You know, it's going to become more and more relevant as you guys grow up. But some of us older guys also need reminding just about how, you know, statements can just be a little bit, you know, show me the science. So today is a water filtration special. I'm not going to be mentioning any brands. I've seen a number of similar things that I'm going to be discussing today. So it's not a brand assassination. I'm not doing it. You know that I build them and but I'm not going to turn this into into a competition argument. You know, this is not about my product versus their product. It's just about the science of what water filtration is and requires. Makes sense? Good. So I'm not going to be rude to anybody. Hopefully, I'll do my best. And you know, I'm open for discussion. I'm open to be challenged about what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm also having a cup of coffee. But the subject is, it's a bit of a slurper. Excuse me. So you're going to learn a little bit today, and you're going to also just be a little bit mindful about how to just understand things a little bit better. So the water filtration industry, similar to the nutrition industry, is an unregulated industry because it just is. Because why would you regulate? You know, there's regulations when it comes to things like pharmacy and stuff like that, LD50. But when it comes to nutrition, it's a very unregulated industry, the same as water filtration industry. So you can get away with saying a lot of stuff that is actually quite harmful. And my point in case being, this is a TDS meter. It just measures the total dissolved solids. It just mentions things that are in the water. And I've seen these, and it's not selective, it's just dissolved solids. So whatever dissolved solids are, this will detect them in the water down to a level known as a part per million, you know. And you've got water that has less and you have water that has more. But that's a subject on hardness and softness, which may come up in part 2. I'm not going to say I'll come back to that, because my good friend Steve Burke, I'll give him a shout because he does love watching this. He always says that when I do videos, I always bring something up and say, I'm going to come back to that. So I'm not going to come back to hardness and softness in today's video. I'm going to do another video on that. So Steve, I'm doing that for you, mate. So just please, so remind me to do the other video. Anyway, I digress. So I've seen these being sold on the internet as something that, wow, if you put this into water, providing it's less than 100, it's safe to drink. And I've seen responses go, well, I got one of these, it's amazing, and well, you know, and all these perhaps AI enforced kind of like, ooh, I've got one too kind of things you now see in media marketing. But the fact of the matter is that if you took that at its word, you could die from using that as a measurement for measuring the water. So there's stuff being told that really is not necessarily true. Now, trust your water, finally. I've seen 3 companies using that strapline. I've seen 3 companies using the strapline, trust your water, finally. I've had a water filter sent to me, which I've got a 100-day guarantee to send back, which I'm not going to call it out and name it out, but, you know, I'm going to explain to you why the purpose of this is to really show you why one filter really cannot do what it needs to do. But let's just talk about the things around that. So trust your water, finally, is something that I've seen 3 water filter companies use as a strapline, and they're all effectively selling a single solution, a single solution kind of single canister. It's small, it's compact. Well, that's not the point, is it? It needs to work. So, you know, so I've seen 3 companies use that, and I've also trust your water, finally. Okay, so today maybe we're going to learn how to trust our water, finally, because we have 4-part process. I then heard that a celebrity endorsement had come about, and the celebrity said this is the best water filter on the planet. I'm not going to mention Bear Grylls, not going to do it, but the best water filter on the planet was the claim that was made. Now, I don't have an issue with what they do. I'm not trying to compete with another company, because I can't compete, because I can't be that cheap, and I I don't want to do that little. So you're not competition. But when you use words such as the best water filter in the planet as a celebrity endorsement, that concerns me, because it's not. Not my fault, it's not. Had you said it's the best water filter on the planet that I have seen so far, then that would be great. To be honest with you, I believe that your machine, the one that you have, is perfect for camping. I think it's perfect to go into camper vans. Brilliant. I think it's a really good invention, but I think it's a camper van thing, providing that you can get the pressure. You need to do like minimum 1 bar, 2 bar, even 12 volt, but that's another thing. But anyway, but the best water filter on the planet. Okay, so my response to that is this, without picking on people, without doing stuff. So in the lockdown years of the early 20th century, I've been very, very popular. That my guru in water filtration technology is now 80 years old and is the last of the living pioneers of water filtration technology. He pioneered thin film membrane and polymer studies in the 1960s at Manchester University, and went on to build some of the biggest water systems for nuclear power plants, and also the complete water system of Singapore was designed by my guru and somebody that has given me insight for the last 8 years. So within lockdown and our relationship, we came up with this. It's a 1, 2, 3. Well, a matter of fact, we came up initially with a 3-part process, and the 3-part process that we came up with was specifically to do with what needed to happen to the water, how it needed to happen, and what that process had to be to allow that to work effectively. So my point is this. So I'll get on to, Steve, I'll get on to why we added the 4th filter a bit later. But when it comes to water filtration, this system here is effectively a scaled down version of what is running Singapore in terms of its capabilities and how and why it's working. I know that sounds bonkers, but that's pretty much it. It's as small as we can make it. And for those of you involved in the British military or festivals, it also fits into a box like this. And this box, I have a boat on the River Thames that is using this record box filter and this processor filter that is sucking water from the River Thames and is using it for drinking water. I've got customers like that. So it's effective, and it's effective for a reason. So we looked at different sizes and stuff like that, and we looked at carbons which are this size, and what I want to get back to just about our 4-part process is this. I'm willing to bet that anybody that has a single filter process. Now, we looked at small filters. This is the size of the one that you get if you buy one of the others. This is the one we're kind of talking about. We did look at doing membranes of that size, but as a singular purpose. This is dual purpose. It has 2 things going on in it, which is why we're kind of having this conversation today. So we looked at that kind of size, and we looked at medium. So I'm willing to kind of put 50p on the table and say that the biggest issue that people have if they buy a single filter system like that is the quality of the water flow begins to lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. So they get less and less and less water. And the reason for that is because it's getting clogged up. And one of the reasons it's getting clogged up is because it doesn't have any pre-filter. And I have a question. So this is the inside of a 0.01 micron filter. The strands on that are 1/1000 of a meter. You kind of know what they are. That is part 4 of my process. Now, my parts 2 and part 3 are a variable medium of carbon which is used, which we've looked at carbon. But as an example, if I don't flush the carbons before it gets to this, they become clogged, and they become clogged. And that is just from the carbon which I'm using to flush. Before it gets to the carbon, and this is probably the reason, one of the major reasons, is because there isn't any pre-filtration. That's London water after 9 months. That's Frome water after 9 months. And that is Godalming water after 9 months. And you can see the difference in the dirt that's captured on that. Now that dirt is our primary filter. That's what we use for filter number one, and that's what we call kidney care. So there is an element, so kidney care is important. It's not only important to take that pressure off of your kidneys, it's also important to just kind of like think about the other processes. I don't know how that gets flushed. I don't know how the carbon within that gets activated by getting wetted and getting flushed without actually then just clogging up the other thing that's kind of in there. Does that make sense? Okay, good. I'm going to leave it there for now. But listen, I do challenge you. This machine here, I state and claim that it was developed in the middle of lockdown by myself with help of my guru, and it produces 480 litres per hour of better quality than bottled water from any source. I have got data I'm willing to send anybody, and if anybody wants to put it under scrutiny, they're more than welcome. Some of the claims, some of the reduction claims made by these single water filter systems, I'm not saying that they're wrong, I'm not saying they're inaccurate, but what I am kind of asking is, are they effective after 1 week? Are they effective after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year? I do not know how you can state that it's an annual filter change when I see water variable like that across the country, which will affect how systems work. Anyway, any questions, send them over to me. This is me. This is December 2024. It's the Science of Wellness, folks. We just tell it as it is.